one of the core staples of the past 40 years, and an anchor propping up the dollar's reserve status, was a global financial system based on the petrodollar. This was a world in which oil producers would sell their product to the US and the rest of the world for dollars, which they would then recycle the proceeds of in dollar-denominated assets and, while investing in dollar-denominated markets, explicitly prop up the USD as the world reserve currency. All of this would support the standing of the US as the world's undisputed financial superpower. Those days are coming to an end. Recent reports have noted that Saudi Arabia is in active talks with Beijing to price some of its oil sales to China in yuan, a move that could cripple not only the petrodollar's dominance of the global petroleum market, something which Sultan Patsar predicted in his last note, and mark another shift by the world's top crude exporter toward Asia, but also a move aimed squarely at the heart of the US financial system, which has taken advantage of the dollar's reserve status by printing as many dollars as needed to fund government spending for the past decade. According to the report, the talks with China over yuan-priced oil contracts have been off and on for 6 years, but have accelerated this year as the Saudis have grown increasingly unhappy with decades-old US security commitments to defend the kingdom. The Saudis are angry over the US's lack of support for their intervention in the Yemen civil war, and over the Biden administration's attempt to strike a deal with Iran over its nuclear program. Saudi officials have said they were shocked by the precipitous US withdrawal from Afghanistan last year. China buys more than 25% of the oil that Saudi Arabia exports, and if priced in yuan, those sales would boost the standing of China's currency, and set the Chinese currency on a path to becoming a global petro-yuan reserve currency. Many investors would admit, a shift to a petro-yuan system would be a profound shift for Saudi Arabia to price even some of its roughly 6.2 million barrels a day of crude exports in anything other than dollars, as the majority of global oil sales, around 80%, are done in dollars, and the Saudis have traded oil exclusively in dollars since 1974. In a deal with the Nixon administration that included security guarantees for the kingdom, it appears that the Saudis no longer care much about US security guarantees and instead are switching their allegiance to China. As a reminder, back in March 2018, China introduced yuan-priced oil contracts as part of its efforts to make its currency tradable across the world, but they haven't made a dent in the dollar's dominance of the oil market, largely because the USD remained the currency of choice for oil exporters. But, as Patsar also noted recently, for China the use of dollars has become a hazard, highlighted by US sanctions on Iran over its nuclear program and on Russia in response to its invasion of Ukraine. Today's historic transition is not exactly a surprise. China has been stepping up its courtship of the Saudi kingdom in recent years, helping Saudi Arabia build its own ballistic missiles, consulting on a nuclear program, and investing in Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's pet projects, such as Neom, a futuristic new city. Meanwhile, the Saudi relationship with the US has deteriorated under President Biden, who said in his 2020 campaign that the kingdom should be a pariah for the killing of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi in 2018. Prince Mohammed, who US intelligence authorities say ordered Mr. Khashoggi's killing, refused to sit in on a call between Mr. Biden and the Saudi ruler, King Salman, last month. It also comes as the US economic relationship with the Saudis is diminishing. The US is now among the top oil producers in the world, a stark reversal from the 1980s when it imported 2 million barrels of Saudi crude a day. But those numbers have fallen to less than 500,000 barrels a day in December 2021. By contrast, China's oil imports have swelled over the last 3 decades. In line with its expanding economy, Saudi Arabia was China's top crude supplier in 2021, selling 1.76 million barrels a day, followed by Russia at 1.6 million barrels a day, according to data from China's General Administration of Customs. The dynamics have dramatically changed. The US relationship with the Saudis has changed. China is the world's biggest crude importer, and they are offering many lucrative incentives to the kingdom, said a Saudi official familiar with the talks. China has been offering everything you could possibly imagine to the kingdom, the official said. In retrospect, we now know the reason why Mohammed bin Salman wasn't taking Biden's phone calls. Needless to say, the US is not happy with this historic transformation. A senior US official said that the idea of the Saudis selling oil to China in yuan was highly volatile and aggressive and not very likely. The officials said the Saudis had floated the idea in the past when there was tension between Washington and Riyadh. It is, of course, possible that the Saudis could back off. Switching millions of barrels of oil trades from dollars to yuan every day could rattle the Saudi economy, which has a currency, the rial, pegged to the dollar. Prince Mohammed's aides have been warning him of unpredictable economic damage if he moves ahead with the plan hastily. Or perhaps Saudi Arabia is merely preparing for the day when the peg will be broken to sever the last major linkage to the US. Doing more sales in yuan would more closely connect Saudi Arabia to China's currency, which hasn't caught on with international investors because of the tight controls Beijing keeps on it. Contracting oil sales in a less stable currency could also undermine the Saudi government's fiscal outlook. The impact on the Saudi economy would likely depend on the number of oil sales involved and the price of oil. Some economists said moving away from dollar-denominated oil sales would diversify the kingdom's revenue base and could eventually lead it to repeg the rial to a basket of currencies, similar to Kuwait's dinar. If it is done now at a time of strong oil prices, it would not be seen negatively. It would be more seen as deepening ties with China, said Monica Malik, chief economist at Abu Dhabi Commercial Bank. Still, the Saudis plan to do most oil transactions in dollars, but the transition has begun, and the move could tempt other producers to price their Chinese exports in yuan as well. China's other big sources of oil are Russia, Angola, and Iraq. The oil market, and by extension the entire global commodities market, is the insurance policy of the status of the dollar as a reserve currency, said economist Gal Luft, co-director of the Washington-based Institute for the Analysis of Global Security, who co-wrote a book about de-dollarization. If that block is taken out of the wall will begin to collapse, and so the pieces of the endgame are falling into place. Russia starving the Western world of much-needed resources, sending commodity prices ever higher, while its silent partner China quietly picks up the monetary pieces and takes advantage of the Western scramble to secure resources at all costs, and approach all those other non-Western former petrodollar clients who are also rich in other resources to offer them a new product, the yuan, which Beijing is now actively and aggressively pushing to dethrone the dollar as a global reserve currency. Chinese experts comment on Saudi Arabia's interest in BRICS. According to a Beijing-based international relations expert who requested anonymity, the US intended Saudi Arabia to listen to its directives and satisfy its demands. But the unfolding of events clearly indicated that Washington had overplayed its hand. According to the analyst, the US is selfish in its dealings with Saudi Arabia, and the idea of joining BRICS shows Saudi Arabia's growing autonomy in its diplomacy with Washington. The expert further noted that joining BRICS will also protect Saudi Arabia's own energy interests in a substantive way, rather than being a card to be used by others. As stated by the Beijing-based expert, if Saudi Arabia joins BRICS, it would be a promotion to the Middle East countries to strengthen their ties with BRICS countries and weaken the intervention and influence of the US in the area. The oil for security framework between Saudi Arabia and the US needs to be adjusted in light of the evolving international situation, according to Li Shaoxian, director of the China Institute for Arab Studies at Ningxia University, who spoke to the Global Times on Wednesday. The Middle East has a clearly elevated position in the world. Europe depends on it for energy, Russia takes notice to it, and China has strong links with it with the Belt and Road Initiative. But the Saudis do not feel equality and mutual respect in a US-led framework, Li claimed. What are your thoughts on the petro-yuan becoming a thing? Let me know down below. That's it for today's video, and I hope you have a better understanding of China and its potential partnership with Saudi Arabia. If you want to continue to learn about business, investing, and financial education, we have got 2 more videos waiting on the screen for you to check out. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe for more videos about investing. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.